half of the presentation. This is being recorded. You should get a pop-up that says that. And then just a housekeeping update. If you have any questions throughout this presentation, please feel free to use the Q&A feature in the Zoom. We will be monitoring it throughout the presentation, and we'll certainly have time at the end to answer questions as well. So please feel free to do that. With that, I will just go ahead and jump on into introductions, and I'm going to hand it off to my team members to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Ben Falter. I'm the Senior Student Affairs Case Manager at San Jose State, and I've been with the university for 6 years.
Oh, I don't know if mine was on because I just realized I had the mute. So I'll repeat that one more time. I'm Daniela Munoz Martinez, the Basic Needs Coordinator for the Spartan Food Pantry.
Thank you both. And like I said, I'm Victoria. I'm a Student Affairs Case Manager, and I've been with SJSU for just over a year now. So excited to be here with you all. So we want to talk to you about the SJSU Cares program and what we do to assist students. So in order to do that, the core piece of that is going to be our mission, and I'm going to walk you through it a little bit. So our mission is to assist students who are facing an unforeseen economic crisis by providing direct support and referrals around basic needs, including food, housing, emergency assistance, and more. And so if we focus on the underlying pieces here, unforeseen economic crises are going to be these financial things that come up that are unexpected that impact a student's financial ability to be successful. So some examples of this could be an eviction notice from a landlord. It could be a sudden loss of a job or income. This could be a medical emergency. It could be perhaps a student is using a car as their primary form of transportation, and the car just suddenly breaks down one day and they have no way to get anywhere. These cost money to fix, and so we consider these unforeseen economic crises, and our office helps by providing direct support and referrals. So direct support could look like direct financial support. That could be plugging a student into one of our programs in the SJSU Cares program, such as a housing support program or our Spartan Food Pantry, which you'll learn more about here in a little bit. We also do referrals to outside resources, such as community programs or community food assistance programs, housing, et cetera, et cetera. Those could also be on-campus referrals. So often we'll work with students who could use support from counseling and psychological services, for example. So we'll do referrals to that office, amongst others. The last thing to note is that our focus is around basic needs. So these are going to be needs that are basic to students for survival. So housing and food, access to healthcare, transportation, et cetera, et cetera. So that is the mission of the SJSU Cares team. And one important thing to note for you all that are here with us today is that you're not quite eligible yet for SJSU Care services. So our hope is that we can give you some preliminary information so that when you do have access to our services, you might go, oh, I remember something about SJSU Cares during Admitted Spartans Day. I'll reach out to them. Students must be currently enrolled in the term to access all of our services. So that means register for classes in your classes. Some of our services do have additional criteria, and we work one-on-one with students to really determine what that is. The common one that I like to bring up in presentations is that for a lot of our services, we do expect students to have exhausted their financial aid options, including their student loans. That's just a mission of the university that students are utilizing the financial access that they have before getting assistance. But when it comes to those really nitty-gritty specifics, we will work with students one-on-one to make sure that they understand what that criteria is and how to get them connected to resources depending on what they have access to. The good news is that all students who are currently enrolled in the term have access to case management in a meeting with the case manager. So case management, we have a variety of case management positions on our campus. The SJSU Cares case managers, again, are going to focus on supporting students through unforeseen economic crises. We do that in meetings with the students. So a student will be referred to us either as a self-referral or a community member will refer them to us. And we have an intake meeting with the student, and that's really designed to learn more about the student's situation and what the barriers to success are. So the student may come to us because they've been given an eviction notice by their landlord and they have nowhere to go. They have no housing. And so we want to certainly learn more about that specific crisis, but we're also going to ask the student about other things that maybe could be impacting their financial success and their ability to be successful in the classroom. Are they getting access to regular meals? Do they have any transportation needs? Are they set up with medical care? And we try to get a holistic sense of where the student is coming from, so that way we can connect them to any and all resources that we think will benefit them through their immediate situation and in their long-term success as a student. We also have meetings with key stakeholders on and off campus to really advocate for the student experience. It's really hard to do your homework if you don't have a home, right? It's really hard to stay focused in a class if you haven't eaten for a couple days, right? And so we really want to vocalize that those are the experiences that some of our students are having, and that because of that, we need access to more resources as a campus and as a larger community to make sure that students are getting plugged into things that can support them through those crises. And so we do that both on and off campus. We have a lot of working relationships with community members that we can connect students with to make sure that we're really both supporting the student and advocating for their success outside of our meetings. Case managers work with students both on a preventative level and as an intervention. So if that student is coming to me and saying, my landlord sent me an eviction notice, I don't have housing, in that moment, we're gonna focus on that crisis, getting that student connected to housing, and we're gonna work through that barrier together in that immediate moment. However, I'm also gonna work with that student again on that long-term solution. So what we don't want to happen is the student coming back in a few months and saying, I got another eviction letter, right? We wanna see if we can have conversations about maybe ways to help the student stay successful in just their whole academic career at SJSU, but specifically in that realm of basic needs. And again, it's for the reason of doing the well-rounded holistic support for our students to make sure that they're set up for success. And then, as I've already kind of referenced throughout this presentation, SJSU Cares case managers are well-informed and trained to know about a variety of resources related to basic needs. Resources on campus and off campus in the community, different programs or services that the city of San Jose offer, that the university offer. And that's really, again, so that way we can hear the student's story, their situation, and start to think about solutions that fit their needs. And so if we can't answer questions, we can also find the people that we can direct students to as well. And so often I tell students I work with that we are a one-stop shop, because even outside of the basic needs realm, if a student is not sure about how to process or a policy works, or who do I go to for this or that, it's our roles to really be knowledgeable about campus resources. And again, if I don't have the exact answer, I can introduce the student to someone who does. So that's case management in a nutshell. And with that, I'm going to pass the metaphorical microphone over to Daniela to talk about the Spartan Food Pantry. And you are still muted, Daniela.
Thank you, Victoria. At the pantry, we just like to have students be aware that there are times, along with the financial crisis that they might be dealing with, that they have the pantry as a backup. We are a food assistance program. What that means is that we're not we're not your all-time grocery store, but we do provide what you'll find at a grocery store. So we get a majority of our food from Second Harvest of Silicon Valley Food Bank, and we get donations from community members as well as anybody who is on campus that would like to donate. And we do have CalFresh as part of one of our programs that we provide assistance to for additional support if the pantry's one visit per week is not enough. So Ms. Victoria, could you go to the next slide? Thank you. So this is just giving you some numbers about the pantry, what it was like pre-COVID. In fall of 2019, we had about, for the semester, 11,626 pantry visits. Out of those, we did have returning students. So that would be the unique participants, which was about 2,897 students who came to use the pantry for additional food support. and about the pounds of food, which was over 80,000, which is quite a lot. And we were very busy, so we serviced about 35 students per hour. And roughly that's about 48% participants who come weekly. And we used to be open 5 days a week, but we are now currently, because of COVID, open 3 days a week. These are the ways students come in: is they fill out an intake and user agreement form prior to coming into the pantry to verify their eligibility and to verify the level of food insecurity and or hunger that they are facing. So that is our biggest mission, is to reach those students. Unfortunately, there is some miscommunication about what a food assistance program is. We do get some students who think it's more of a free for all, but our mission is really to make sure our students are not going hungry while trying to be successful in their academic journey. So when coming in, you fill out that form. If you are eligible, you receive a notification letting you know that you are. You come into the pantry with your tower ID, and then our student staff will introduce how to individually shop for perishable and non-perishable items, as well as non-food items. So we shop by zones. And again, you can shop individually, picking the items you want. And typically our goal is to not have any limits or amounts on our items that students can shop for. So each zone may have a number represented by it, but it, again, you'll know with a heads up from our student staff if there is a maximum amount. We just want to be equitable along the week to make sure that every student has access to different types of items in our pantry. So as you see, we have fresh produce. We have items that are multiple use that you can make several meals with throughout the day. We have our cold zone that provides yogurts, milk and eggs, frozen meats. Single use is more like a snack item, a quick in between classes type of thing. And we have a toiletry section where you could find items such as bar soaps, razors, detergent, sponges, things like that are non-food. So as you can see, we provide very many items for students to collect. So another way you can stay connected for any important updates related to SJSU Cares or the Spartan Food Pantry is by following us on our social channels. And there you'll get a lot of our information and can interact with us as well.
Really speedy, fast presentation today. This is the time for Q&A, or if you want us to expand on anything. Or Ben, if you would like to expand on anything, you're welcome to as well. But we are here for another 15 minutes, so please.
I think the thing that I would share is a lot of times students or incoming students look at this and go, well, I don't know if I need that right now. And so just to really put it out there that I do encourage people, if you're on social media, to follow us, but also just to know us, even if you don't follow us on social media, because your ability to refer a friend in the future is going to be really important. That way you kind of just become that ambassador of the knowledge of campus, and you can say, wow, it sounds like you might benefit from this. So here's kind of an additional option or a different service that might be able to help you out. Looks like we got one question in the chat. And so the question was, can you help with rent if we've lost our job? Another question around if we need a laptop or if there's car issues.
Yeah, absolutely. So good questions. So it depends on the situation. I would want to learn a lot more about these situations, but in general, we have the capability to assist students. It could be direct financial assistance. It could be connecting students to one of our housing programs. So if I was working with a student who lost their job and was concerned about rent, we would have a conversation around what their relationship with their landlord is, and I guess what long-term support might look like. So is it a single, I just need help for this month, or is it a long-term, I don't know what my next steps are going to look like? So we would have conversations and we would find the best fit for that student depending on the answers to those questions. And so sometimes that is direct financial assistance, and sometimes it's going to be more plugging into programs that will do more good, I guess, than just that one-time program. So, and there's a variety of those depending on, again, the student and their situation. We have given assistance for laptops and car issues in the past as well. I see that that's up there too. I've worked with students who, especially in this post-pandemic world, need access to technology. And so we have assisted with that, again, either directly or steering the student towards programs that will assist with that. So we have a really great program on campus that allows students to borrow laptops as well. Sometimes that's a better fit. Car issues as well. Sometimes we've helped students financially through that as well. But they always require intake meetings. And we really want to, again, get to know the full story so that we can find the best fit, because sometimes that just giving a student money isn't going to be the best fit depending on the full situation. They might benefit more from long-term care. So I hope that answers that question enough. What's the turnaround? That's a good question. So when students reach out for assistance, a case manager will reach out to the student within 48 hours. Or is it, yeah, within 48 hours. And so we'll meet with that student, and then depending again on the service that we're connecting them with, we understand that when it comes to financial situations, the quicker the better. So we really try to get students connected to those services as soon as we can. But a student can know that if they reach out for assistance, we will reach out to them within 48 hours.
I did see
So one
another
other
question. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
I was going to say, one of the questions, I typed the response in there in terms of eligibility for the pantry. Can anyone use it? And Daniela has kind of hit the nail correctly earlier, making sure that people understand the difference between free food and food assistance. But we also don't want to be a high barrier. And so that intake process is really you providing your information to guide to see if you are eligible. And the basic eligibility is, one, as Victoria pointed out, need to be currently enrolled attending student in that semester, that actual term, not future. You need to there is some income eligibility. And so that's just making less than $29,986. So it's a percentage of what's called the federal poverty line. For almost all students, you would fit into there. And so I think that goes back to that last criteria, that you're experiencing hunger or food insecurity, right? And so there's a lot of students who are enrolled in the term, they have their student ID, they're making less than that, but they might actually not be experiencing food or hunger insecurity or hunger or food insecurity. And that's for you to just self-determine. We're not going to quiz you or tell you that, we're really allowing you to self-identify that. So as long as you do that intake form once you are an enrolled student, yes, that you would be eligible to use the pantry. And so we don't want it to be a laborious process. We want it to be low barrier, and to be proud to say, like, yeah, I'm utilizing the resources that are for me.
I see some questions about the CARES Act, so I'll be happy to talk about that. So the CARES Act is a federal program that gave financial assistance to students due to the pandemic. And so that was an effort that was across campus. Multiple departments were a part of that. SJSU Cares was one of them, but we were not the sole holders of the CARES Act. And that was a federal program. So our office has been around previous to the CARES Act grant. So by no means are we solely in pigeonholed to that, but we have assisted with that. I'm glad this question has come up, because one thing we do want people to know too is we're not just a place to come and get financial assistance. We get a lot of questions about financial assistance for tuition as well, and that is outside of the scope of our ability to assist as well. And so it's the same in that we do recognize that sometimes students need access to financial assistance to be successful. But that was a federal program that a lot of that was done on a federal level, and we just assisted with the disbursement piece. Ben, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I guess the other piece is, so the question was on CARES Act, and there has been some other federal assistance pieces here too, and I kind of know all these other different acronyms. But essentially, the biggest piece to know is that eligible students are always emailed directly about those. And a lot of the eligibility is set by the federal government, because it is federal funds, or the system. So we're part of the California State University system. And so students who are eligible receive notification if they're eligible. If they're not eligible, they won't receive those notifications. But the biggest piece is you're always going to have to be an enrolled student. So oftentimes we have people saying, I'm transferring in from this institution, or I'm going to be a first-year student. Am I eligible? You wouldn't be eligible unless you meet the criteria. And the one criteria is always going to be, you have to be a currently enrolled student in the term where those funds came.
So I do see a question about if the CARE Act has expired. And yes, the CARE Act was given out around this time last academic year. There was a second award that was given out called the HERF2 funds, which were similar but different. And we are no longer giving those out as an institution as well. Please continue to ask questions. These have been good questions. I guess while we wait for questions, one thing I'll note too that is not that is here on the screen. The best way to get information about us, or if you're looking for support, is to go to our website. So our website is sjsu.edu/SJSU Cares. On that website lives a lot more information about all of our programs, but probably most importantly, our request for assistance is there. And that is how we ask folks to connect with us if they're looking for support. And so I would say if you get an opportunity, even if you don't think this is something you need right now, I would encourage you to take a look through that website just to get a feel for it and see what we offer. And so that way, if you do need any of our supports in the future, that's going to be the best thing to remember, I would say, from all of this is our website.
We did get another question about how can we use the food pantry if the campus is closed. The campus may be closed on certain areas, but there are staff still attending certain job duties there, like the pantry. So the pantry has been actually open this entire time the pandemic has been open, obviously except for holidays and weekends and things like that we're not traditionally open, but we are open. And so students are still allowed to come in. They just have to take the proper precautions, wearing your mask at all times and maintaining 6 feet of social distancing inside as well as outside if there is a line.
And Daniela, we did get a question about if you can just walk in and get groceries or if you need to fill out an application first. Do you mind talking to that?
Yes. So again, the process is we are part of USDA as well as partners with the Second Harvest. So there is some paperwork involved, and you don't need to fill out anything by hand when you're there, but you can do it again as long as you are a currently enrolled student. You will bring your Tower ID. You will fill out that user and intake form, and then when you're there, you will come in with your ID. We scan you in. You fill out your information about the USDA, a couple questions by the student staff. And then they introduce the items that you can shop for. And then once you're done, you come back to the counter. We verify your items that you have received just to make sure everything's equitable amongst everybody. And then you're free to go. So a lot of it, again, is very individual shopping. It's like a mom and pop shop. We really want to give everybody their privacy and the option of picking the items that you do want versus at traditional food banks, they kind of give you just a big lump sum of something. And so we really try to give more options to our students who come in. And again, this is for students. We do have households that the food that they pick up is provided for their family. That is fine. But again, it is for students only. So unfortunately, we would not be able to allow a family member to come and pick up for them.
So just to kind of amplify the one question, it's kind of come up a couple different times in terms of if am I incoming or from a transfer student, when can I use it? And really think about it as once you're actually attending classes, whether those are in person or online classes, once you're attending classes as SJSU, you are eligible. If sometimes we have been able to move that a couple days earlier, and if we do, we post that on social media. Once again, a reminder to follow us on social media. But yeah, so you actually need to be enrolled in that term and not just plan to be a future student. So you actually have to be you'd be enrolled in the education right then. And so we will post when we start the application or the intake process for fall. So if you're an incoming student, wait for our social media post to say, now we're moving to our fall intake process, because right now the one that's on our website is for our current students who are currently enrolled right now.
Yeah, you'll definitely see that on the Instagram page as well as all our other channels. We put out reminders every semester when a new one is needed. And the other question that I noticed was, is international students allowed to use the pantry? Yes. As long as you are a currently enrolled SJSU student at San Jose State, you are and attending those classes, you can use the pantry if you're dealing with any kind of food insecurity or hunger.
I saw a question pop up about if we're going to be open in the fall. And so I want to, once I can get my chat to work, I'm going to post one thing for you all to know if no one else has told you already. We actually have an SJSU Adapt website, which is where we are keeping all of our, the campus is approach to the pandemic and how we are operating. So I would encourage you to know that website and keep looking at it. At this point, I would assume that you're going to have at least one class on campus. It's more than likely than not that that's going to be the case. So we're actually asking students to be prepared to come on to campus, to be physically on campus at some portion of their day. And so I bring that up also because we're going to be starting communications around reminding students, incoming students, find your housing, make sure that you're prepared to be in the area. And so make sure that you do that. If you have start thinking about what your housing is going to look like, because it's going to be more likely than not you will need to be on campus for some portion of your week. These have all been really great questions. Keep them coming.
Yes, so one of the questions says, do I need to apply application to register for food insecurity program? So again, it's an intake and user agreement form. So that is always going to be necessary for every new semester. So once you are enrolled in classes, attending classes, then you'll be able to visit our website, which is the SJSU Cares. You'll click on Get Assistance. You'll see Spartan Food Pantry, and then follow the steps of eligibility. If you fall within those eligibility criteria, then go ahead and click on the user agreement and you'll be able to complete your process in order to get use the pantry. Again, you'll get a notification in your email that you are approved to use it. So once you get that, you'll come into the pantry, show us with your tower ID, and we'll go ahead and put a sticker to show that you are eligible. And again, if you're wanting to know what the criteria is for assistance, visit our website, because that is where you will get more of the detailed information. And again, if wait till you're a student, but we hope that you are sufficient in all your needs before you come to San Jose State. Otherwise, when you are here, then we'll be able to give you assistance.
I just pasted the ADAPT plan in the chat, and then Ben pasted the website for the Spartan Food Pantry. So please feel free to click on those and take a look at those. I am noticing we are just about at time. So if you continue to have questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. But otherwise, thank you again for joining us, and we are excited to see you in the fall.
Oh, another thing is, don't forget, if you want to volunteer, you can always volunteer whether you're a student or not at the pantry.
We do love volunteers, especially on Monday mornings. So if you're a Monday morning person, let us know.
We'll hang back for a couple minutes for anyone that wants any other individual questions. Otherwise, thank you all for coming.